Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Cookbook. And today, I know I say this about all my guests, but I am like beyond excited today because our guest is a really good friend of mine. And I call her the vegan Joanna Gaines. And for those of you who have been watching the Do-It-Yourself Network, you know who Joanna Gaines is. And for those of you who don't, we'll probably get into that a little bit more in as we go on. But Stefanie Dougherty, one of my favorite people on the planet, truly, is a plant-based cooking instructor and nutrition educator with a certificate in plant-based nutrition from Cornell University. She founded Green Sage to teach busy people to cook healthful, delicious, plant-based meals at home. Her message is that healthy cooking with wholesome ingredients can be incredibly flavorful and surprisingly simple. And it's true because I was even able to cook some of this stuff. Stefanie offers live Zoom cook-along classes, one-to-one mentoring, an ongoing cooking and meal planning membership, and a free recipe blog. You guys definitely need to sign up for this, but we'll talk about that a little further. Follow her daily cooking adventures on Instagram at Green Sage Life and join her free email community at greensagelife.com. It is my absolute pleasure to invite my very dear friend, Stefanie Dougherty. Hey, you.
Hi, Iris. Thank you for, oops, am I on? Great.
Yeah, you're on.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here. This is really, truly an honor. And you are one of my favorite people as well. So I've really been looking forward to this. It's going to be a lot of fun to chat.
Well, thanks. I've been looking forward to it too. And for those of you who don't know who Joanna Gaines is, her and Chip did, what was the show that they...
Fixer Upper.
Fixer Upper, yes. And then they did so well that they bought like the Discovery or the Do-It-Yourself network. And now they have this whole thing. And Joanna Gaines has this cooking show. And I call Steph the vegan Joanna Gaines because these are all Steph's recipes. She's created them all. None of these are copycat recipes. And literally anybody can cook. If I can cook them, because I'm not a baker, anybody can cook them. So, so I'm like so excited because the masses need to know about you and your amazing, just, the way that you teach, and you're so non-judgmental, because there are vegan instructors out there that are a little judgy. And I'm a carnivore and you still love me. So, that.
I do. It's unfortunate. There's no need for judgment. It's true. There are a lot of vegans out there who they're inspired and they care about animals and they want other people to save the animals. And I 100% respect that. My personal approach, though, is to just make it accessible, make it simple and delicious. I think, especially because I have kind of a health-forward focus with my recipes. And a lot of people are under the misconception that healthy food tastes like cardboard. They don't want to eat it. But that is not necessarily the case. When you do it right, it can be done well, and it can be absolutely phenomenal, really delicious. And so that's what I love to share with people.
And it's true. It's because of you. Actually, you sent me the cherry pitter.
That's right.
What were you making? The cherry bomb? It was like a cacao.
Yeah, there's like a little snack, these little chocolate chip cherry bomb, like protein bites, basically.
Yeah. So we were doing a Zoom along, and she had this cherry pitter, and it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was like you put the cherry in and choom, the pit came out. And of course, mine shot all over the kitchen, but it's just really cool. So, and all of your recipes are flavorful. I made those. I made I didn't make the gnocchi. I wasn't on for that, but I did the butternut squash soup. That my carnivore, like Heather is way more of a carnivore than I am. Like you say vegan, and she literally, we have woods back here. She runs in the woods. But she loved that soup and the banana muffins that we made.
That's right. Yeah.
So I get like so excited about this because, excuse me, what I love about it is that what you do isn't necessarily only for people who are vegans. They're, for people who maybe want to try vegan. Of course, your goal is to have people start like a vegan lifestyle, but you're not judgy about that. You're like, do it at your own pace.
Right. And actually, maybe to specify, it's not so much that I want to convert people to veganism as I want to help them work more plant-based meals into their daily lives. So you don't have to want to go fully vegan as a goal of yours in order to get a lot out of the recipes and the classes that I offer. It's just really, really good for your health. And there's a whole body of scientific evidence to support this, that the more prove that the more plants you eat, the better off you are, the more likely you are to live a longer life free of chronic illness. And so if I can help people incorporate more delicious plant-based meals into their life that they really look forward to devouring, that the whole family looks forward to eating, then my job is done.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that so much. So what made you decide to become an entrepreneur? Like, what was your the catalyst, I guess?
Yeah, well, I think I might have always had a little bit of that entrepreneurial spirit in me. My dad was an entrepreneur. He's his lifelong career is as a remodeling contractor, and so he was my model, and he was the kind of guy who always made his own rules, and I thought that was so cool. Just between you and me, I tended to be more of like a rule follower myself, but I wanted to like embody that. And I think so it was a natural choice for me. And this is my second career. So just to give you a little background for me, I was a French translator for 18 years before I switched to helping people with their cooking and nutrition. So I went to grad school, and I was right out of school, I became a freelancer. So it was just always a natural choice for me to be self-employed. And now for what I'm doing now, it just feels absolutely essential. Like I have, this is my passion, and it gives me the true freedom I need to pursue that, to express my creativity fully, and to really gives me the opportunity to help people in their daily lives on a regular basis.
Right. And what you do does, I mean, the recipes that you come up with are they're very healthy. I mean, I remember when I ate it, I like felt healthy eating it. And it was, like I knew that it was good for me. And that's just so essential, especially nowadays, because, with the food and everything, there's so much crap in our food. God knows what we're eating. So to incorporate some healthy stuff in is a really good idea. So you have, I want to touch on your membership. So you could talk about that, about Deeper Roots.
Yes, that's what it's called. Yes. The timing of this podcast is really great because I'll be opening it up for enrollment in June 2022, if you're listening to this later. But it will be available on an ongoing basis. And the goal of it is to help people incorporate more plant-based meals. It's basically an encapsulation of my mission, which, just to get people eating more whole food plant-based meals on a regular basis, but without it being overwhelming. And to really add like a little bit of a done for you aspect in terms of grocery lists and suggestions for weekend prep tasks. And each month we build up to one full week's meal plan. So on any given week in the month, the first 3 weeks in particular, you'll just receive 2 new recipe lessons. And then on the 4th week, you'll get your 2 new recipes, but also you'll have it all packaged into a meal plan. And hold on, I'll get to that in a second. But basically the point is that each month that you're a part of this community, you'll come away with a new complete week-long meal plan that you can keep and return to again and again in the future. And in addition to that content, there will be once a month, a live Zoom cook-along class. And those are loads of fun. Everyone gets on and cooks in the comfort of their own kitchen. Although actually I shouldn't say everyone, because some people just like to watch, as like for they're more visual learners, and so they'll watch and then make it on their own time. But yeah, I guess that's it. The point is to just make it bite-sized and easy to incorporate into your life, not overwhelming, organized, and with full guidance and the support of a community. Because I think anytime you're trying to create a new habit or reach a goal in your life, it's always really great to surround yourself with a group of supportive people who are like-minded and going to cheer you on and not be naysayers or, question your convictions. So it's a really nice community and a nice way to ease into more plant-based meals.
See, and I love that whole community piece because it takes a village, right? And I think that, when you have something like this and you have, the community, especially based around something like this, because it may not be a lifestyle change, but you are adding something new into your routine, right? And, it's nice to be held, accountable for stuff.
In a friendly way. Yeah.
Well, yes. Yeah, exactly. See, and that's what I love about you. You're so kind because no, I mean that because, people could be, hey, we're going to hold you accountable, but this is there's no pressure at all. Mm-hmm. And you do everything at your own pace. And if you do the Zoom cook along class and you don't cook along, that's okay. It's all, the rules are so lax that there's no pressure.
That's right. Yeah. Because we're not trying to be hard asses about it. We're just trying to help you add some new meals to your life. A lot of us are in a rut. We are cooking the same few meals all the time. And, because we know how to do it. And if we think about doing a search on the internet for a new recipe, what do you do with those pages of search results? How do you pick the recipe to make? Or you get on Pinterest and you find a new recipe and it's kind of disappointing. It's kind of bland. This kind of helps you skip that trial and error, just fast forward directly to making plant-based meals a more regular part of your life. And it's like you said, a low pressure, very warm and friendly atmosphere to do that in.
Yes, it's very warm and fuzzy and kumbaya. So when we first met, you had the ebook out,
right?
And what was it called again?
It was the Green Sage Quarantine Cooking Handbook.
Yes,
and it came out in 2020 when going to the grocery store was an adventure because the shelves were empty, and we were all cooking at home for ourselves a lot more often than we were used to. So people were looking for recipes, but groceries were hard to find. So I put together this book that helps people not necessarily need to follow a specific recipe, but it provides a formula, a structure where they can choose the ingredients of their choice and still follow the instructions to put together, customize, improvise, even get creative with recipes at home. And so It's more of a cooking formula book than a recipe cookbook. And yes. It was nice. It was nice to be able to help everyone at a time when that was challenging.
And what was awesome about it was, and you do this in your courses as well, is, you describe, the ingredients that you would recommend. And of course, you could say that you could, substitute, but then there's also the shopping list and the how-to, which is great because for people who have no clue, you direct them in such a full, complete way that it's literally the easiest thing in the world to do. It's it's true. It's because I remember I looked at that book and I was like, there is absolutely no excuse to say, well, I couldn't figure it out because it is literally written out for you. So I love the fact that you how descriptive you are and how, just how well you explain everything and how easy it is to follow because of the kind of mentor you are. And you do one-to-one mentoring, which is awesome because anybody who could do a one-to-one mentoring session with you is the luckiest person in the world.
Thanks, Iris. Yeah, I love working one-on-one with clients. It really gives me a chance to customize what they're learning to exactly what they're looking to learn and to develop a relationship that it goes beyond what I would be able to do in a group class. Group classes are wonderful and I love those too. But that extra one-to-one time, it's wonderful. It's very fulfilling.
So now that things have opened up, because I know you and I were pretty much hermits during the whole pandemic. Are you doing any local classes in Vegas, like any local, group classes or anything like that? Or
Oh,
so
yeah.
for those of you who don't know, Steph is based in Las Vegas.
Las
So,
Vegas, yes.
which we are going to
That's a good question. Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
I just said which we are going to get out there one of
Oh,
these
yes.
days.
Please come up. Before the pandemic, I was doing monthly cooking demonstration style classes in downtown Las Vegas. Things are just starting to open up, especially maybe I'm a little slower than most to feel comfortable with that. But I am envisioning this year doing some cooking demonstration style classes at like local events, like a wellness expo type thing. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting out there again locally because that's really fun. And it's a really great way to meet more people in the community. Yeah, those are loads of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, I know that with all of your, what inspires you? And I'm thinking about it now. We should have had you have like one of your dishes or something, to be able to show, and we'll do that next time. But what inspires your dishes? Because you come up with these recipes that are just like, I mean, they're amazing, they're delicious, and I know that it's trial and error. But what inspires you to, create them?
It depends. If I'm aiming for something specific, like a recreation of a traditional dish, then if I see a photo or if I've tasted something in a restaurant, then I'll just come home and try to recreate that. That's a skill that I'm able to do. That is a skill that I've developed over time. But for like an everyday meal, it's going to be more like what I've got on hand in the kitchen. And I've come to the point now where I can kind of conceptualize a recipe in my mind and know whether it'll be good or not, and put it together in practice. So that's actually one of the skills I love to teach my clients, is to be able to improvise more in the kitchen on their own. So for example, there's a meal I love to make. If I haven't even thought about what I'm going to eat for dinner and it's getting kind of late, my husband's working late, and now it just has to come together real quick. There's a meal I really love to do, and it's like a red lentil pasta primavera. It literally takes me 20 minutes to make. And when I put it on the table, it looks like restaurant worthy. So this could be one I could share with you guys. As a matter of fact, why don't we do that? I can create a little bonus content on my website for the Cookbook podcast listeners, and I will outline how to do this yourself at home. And let's say it'll be at greensagelife.com/ the Cookbook podcast. And you can link it in the show notes, right? After the fact.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, and I will outline for you guys how to do that so you can do it too. But basically, that's the idea. The fact that you could take fresh produce, particularly produce in season, and just be able to have the skills to throw that together and for it to be delicious. There's just a few things to know in advance, and it's a really nice thing to be able to do for yourself, to give yourself a healthy meal. Beats the heck out of greasy takeout for your health. So, and it doesn't even take as long as going to go get it, so.
Right, which is great.
Yeah.
That's like so awesome. And I love that. So Kofi will put that up there with the link, but I love that, we have it for our cookbook listeners.
That's right.
This is yes, exclusive content, which is great. And I know one of your go-tos also is your pizza. Right. I watch you make that. I wish Heather would eat that. There's just too many vegetables on it. She would die. But
yeah, you can use some more vegetables. But that's actually the formula for that one is in my quarantine cooking handbook. So even though it's titled Quarantine Cooking Handbook, it is still 100% relevant. So
oh yeah, absolutely. You definitely go buy that, because that is like when that first came out, I bought it, and there's just so many good tips. And so one of the things that you do is when you buy vegetables or fruit, how do you clean it? Because that's I think that's so important.
That point was really driven home during the pandemic. Do you remember when we were first, they didn't know how it was transmitted, so we were washing everything as soon as we got home?
Yep.
Yeah. That's something that not to the same extent, let's be real, but I still do that now because I saw how much fresher my produce stays for longer when you do that, which makes sense because you buy your produce at the grocery store and it comes with some bacteria and some mold already on it just from the handling and the shipping and everything and the just being out in public and the grocery store. So if you could just wash it as soon as you bring it home. Like I have a natural kind of a dish soap, and I just do a tiniest bit of that on my peppers and apples, any fruit that I bring home, with the exception of berries, and I'll get to that in a second. Just wash the dirt off when you bring it home, and it'll blow your mind how much fresher it stays for longer. So definitely do that. It's a little quick tip for you. The berries I do,
because that blew my mind. Like when you told me that, like when I remember and I do it, it lasts weeks. It's amazing.
It does. It really does. And it's crazy. Like here we're in Las Vegas, so a lot of our fruit comes from Southern California, and it's like tends to be a little fresher, honestly, because I'm from Philadelphia, so I know what it's like on the East Coast too. It just has traveled longer, and it's not as pretty when it gets to the grocery store most of the time. So this is going to be extra specially helpful for people who are further away from where their fruit comes from. But berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, cherry tomatoes, grapes, all of these things that are kind of like self-contained and not porous. Put them in a bowl of water and a little glug or two of just white vinegar, like the kind you can buy in a gallon for 99 cents at the grocery store. Let it sit for 5-10 minutes and then rinse it off. You're going to think it's crazy because you're like, ew, I'm not putting vinegar on my fruit. But actually, it doesn't retain the smell or the taste of vinegar at all. It rinses right away. I usually give it 2 rinses just to be extra sure. And then I put the fruit back into the box it came in. Maybe I line the bottom with a little paper towel to catch some of the extra moisture, or you can leave it on your counter to dry out a little bit first before you put it away. But honestly, like my blueberries sometimes will last 2 weeks in the fridge without going bad when I do that. When I don't, it could just be a few days before you start to see some mold growing. So that's a really important one, especially in the summer when it's warm. Do your vinegar water bath on all your berries as soon as you bring them home from the grocery store. Make it a part of your putting your groceries away task. You won't regret it. It's a really great thing to do.
It's true. And during the pandemic, I was religious about it. I was like, I have to get, like I bought the vinegar and I had all my berries, I had my strawberries and my blueberries and, grapes, like anything. And I had my little jar of vinegar, actually my gallon jug of vinegar. And it's true. You put it in the package and it lasts, a couple of weeks. And I was so religious about it. And now I don't, because now it's like, and I am like, so awful, and Heather and I are really trying to get better. She's trying to get me to be better at it because we'll buy food and then sometimes we forget about it.
Right. And
we throw it out, and it's so wasteful. And so I'm thinking if I can get myself back in that routine, and if I forget to eat my strawberries the first 3-4 days, that weekend I can make a strawberry shortcake, or what I mean, something, and. Yeah. And be better about it, because I am bad about that.
Yeah, most people are. As a matter of fact, I believe that food waste is a really significant portion of our waste as a society. That it's bad for the environment to have so much food waste, and it's a shame. It's expensive because you're putting money into food and you don't use it. And that's actually one of the great things about learning to plan your weeks in advance for your meals, that I love to teach people, and that it's a really great outcome of being in my membership program too, because if you can get in the habit of only buying what you need and not more, then obviously you end up with less waste. And since you mentioned strawberry shortcake, I just wanted to give a shout out to my own summer fruit club, which is also running this summer, and I do have a really nice gluten-free strawberry shortcake recipe in there I really love.
That summer fruit club is awesome. I joined that, I think, the first year you had it. So did Kofi, our producer. I know he was in it. And you just have so many great programs. So one of the things that, I have like this list of questions that I end up asking, but what advice do you have for somebody who is, who wants to become an entrepreneur? Because you've done this in such a way that you have this whole program and really this whole lifestyle. So I think that some people, who are going to become entrepreneurs aren't, going to do it like this. But, what advice do you have? Like when you first started, any bumps in the road?
Yeah, I do have actually things to say about this. Because when I left my career as a French translator, it was not an easy thing for me to do. I was comfortable there. I was making a decent living at it. I felt like an expert translator. I had a master's degree and I had 18 years of experience. But I had this food blog as a hobby. It was my passion project and I loved it. And I knew for years that I would rather be spending my full-time efforts helping people learn to cook and sharing my recipes and getting creative in the kitchen with people. But I hesitated for a long time. I had lots of reasons, like, oh, we count on this income and, I'm an expert at this and it would be a shame to just shift gears. Lots of things. But the underlying thing behind all of those hesitations is just fear in general. Some of those fears were founded and some probably weren't. But I signed up for like an online business coaching program. And it was at that point where I started to be able to envision how this hobby could become an actual business. And that was like a summer-long thing. And it culminated in this 3-day in-person workshop where there were a lot of exercises and I was interacting with a lot of other female entrepreneurs who kind of validated me and what I was doing and were very encouraging. And the coach herself was very encouraging. And so when I got home from that and I sat down to translate another document, I really couldn't. I couldn't force myself to sit and translate another document. And that's really saying something because I'm like I can do that. I can force myself to sit down and work. I've never really had any struggles with that. But it was just like time for me to give this a go. And honestly, once I did, I have not looked back. Like, this work is hard. And there are a lot of days where I feel very insecure about what I'm doing from the business standpoint. Not so much about the content and the cooking and the teaching aspect, but everything that goes into being an entrepreneur that, are not innate skills like marketing, graphic design, video and video editing and all of these things. Sometimes I just feel like I'm throwing darts with a blindfold on, but I could never have sustained the hours that I put into this as a translator. This is my joy and my passion, and it's fulfilling. So, sometimes I miss feeling like an expert. I sit down for a day of translation and I don't have to wonder if I'm doing it right. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. And so my advice would be to give it some good consideration. Like if you have identified what it is that you would like to do, breaking out on your own, spend some time thinking about it, but give yourself some grace while you're thinking about it, because entrepreneurship it comes in phases. Kind of, how like grief comes in phases, like there's denial and then there's anger, all that stuff. Entrepreneurship comes in phases too. There's the dreamer phase, and then there's the startup phase, and then there's the I do everything myself phase, and then finally you get to the delegation phase, which incidentally I'm not really there yet. I still have all the hats on. But I remember thinking before I made the leap, what's wrong with me? Why am I not doing this? I'm not being brave enough. I'm not taking this step. And now I can look back on that time where I was beating myself up for hesitating and realize that also was a necessary part of the process. So it's okay to be in the dreamer phase, and it's possible, like it happened for me, that the time to move into the startup phase will be so obvious to you that you won't be able to sit still any longer. That's like my mindset advice. But I do have some practical advice too, which I just happened to stumble upon because I had this food blog as a hobby. And that is, if you think you know where you want to go with this, with your entrepreneurial idea, start an email list today. Like, do not wait. Create something in your area of expertise that you can offer in exchange for someone's email address, and start to collect the email addresses of people who might be interested in what you have to offer, and create your email community. Reach out to them once a month, offer something new. But the earlier you have an email list, the easier all of this will be, because social media, they can take that away from you at any moment. You can get your account hacked. Social media is important, don't get me wrong, but like, if you have an email list, then you have a starting point. So that's my practical advice.
That is great advice. So what about for like a seasoned entrepreneur listening to this? What were some of your bumps, and how did you overcome it? Because there are people out there that are seasoned, that have been entrepreneurs for a long time, and they go through bumps, and then they have to overcome these obstacles, and but each obstacle is different, and different obstacles pop up, and so your obstacle may be something different, or it may be something that hasn't happened yet that might happen. So I like talking about that as well for the seasoned entrepreneur.
Yeah, well, I think it would be presumptuous of me to offer advice to someone who's so far ahead of me in the journey. I am about 3.5 years into this being my full-time mission. So I hesitate to offer advice to somebody who's more experienced. However, one of the things that the lessons that I have that's really jumped out at me, and that maybe someone else has not had the opportunity to realize yet, is that collaborating with people in complementary industries is an enormous bonus for you. So don't be afraid to reach out, even to people in your own industry, to create something collaborative together. And because that can really, what do they say? There's like a cliche, a rising tide lifts all the ships, or something like that. That can be an untapped resource. Your colleagues and also people in complementary industries working together can just increase your visibility and your reach in a way that would be very difficult to achieve on your own.
See, I love that, because, and it's funny that you say that, because I have been connecting with different marketers over the last probably few weeks. And it's just been amazing, because, I've connected with marketers before, and it ended up being like a competition. So to me, I was obviously connecting with the wrong marketing people. The people that I've been connecting with lately, it's been very collaborative, and it hasn't been that, oh, you're a competition, this is a bad thing, right? It's been this, hey, you look at it this way, different perspectives, right? And I always say there's many doors you can use to get into the same room. The old saying used to be, there's different ways to skin a cat, and I'm an animal lover, so I don't use that
anymore. It's not a very vegan expression, yeah.
It's not vegan friendly. But there's so many different doors that you can use to get into the same room. And what I've been loving about this is that it's been such an uplifting experience to be meeting these people that get it. They think like me. And so I think you're right. I think, finding people in your industry that you can collaborate with is huge. So that's really awesome. I think that's great advice. So,
thanks.
And you're 3 years into it, but you're seasoned. I mean, and it's so funny, because I know whenever we talk, I'm like, rah, rah, rah. But you're so good at what you do, and you are seasoned. No pun intended. Actually, you're very seasoned. But, you really are. And you've been on this journey, and you've hit bumps. You've had days where it's been like, holy shit, can I even do this? I mean, we all have. We suffer from imposter syndrome, where, oh my God, do I really know my shit? Oh wait, yeah, I do. And then there's like this affirming moment that you're like, oh yeah, I do. But that creeps up every once in a while, I think, for everybody. It was funny because I had a meeting with a client last week, and they were like, I'm depending on your expertise. And I felt all of this weight all of a sudden. It was like, oh, my expertise. And I'm like, duh, yeah, of course they're going to lean on me because I know my shit. But for about a 10-second, span there, it was like, I just felt like so much pressure. But then it kind of, was like, okay, wait a minute, I got this. So don't doubt that you're seasoned. You are very seasoned. I think that you, where you are right now, I think, you're going to be exploding soon, because what you offer is so important, and it's so relevant right now. Eating healthy, leading a healthy lifestyle, being gently guided, to that, and to where you don't have to change everything. You just have to incorporate, a couple of things into, add that. I think that's a very empathetic way to, get people to eat healthier. And you have this way about you that it's like, oh yeah, duh, of course I'm gonna, do this. So.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'd like to respond a little bit about the imposter syndrome. I devour personal development books. I love listening to audiobooks all the time. And I hope I'm attributing this correctly, one of the people who I listen to is a man named Light Watkins. And I think it was he who said something like, if you're not experiencing a feeling of imposter syndrome sometimes, then you are way too far in your comfort zone. Like, try harder, push harder, get out there more often. And that makes a lot of sense to me. That really resonates. But it's gonna happen if you are pushing your own limits. And one of the best cures for that, in my opinion, is to surround yourself with people who are supportive, and maybe a mentor, somebody who has gone before you, and other people who are at a similar spot in your journey, but who are kind, generous-hearted people who will pick you up when you're feeling small. I'm in an entrepreneurs group I love, the Elevated Entrepreneur Collective. I think one of the founders is going to be a guest on your podcast soon, right, Liz Landine?
Liz Landine, slay girl, slay.
Yeah, or the group where we met, Nina at Clockwise Productions put together a group of entrepreneurs to learn video marketing for small business, and
which was amazing. I mean, that whole thing, yeah, that's why we're going to be lifelong friends. I mean,
that's right. I mean, it's wonderful to have a group of people like that who can reassure you, who will tell you on the days where you forget that you're a rock star.
Yeah. And it's funny because that group, so you're on, Diane is going to be on, Molly is going to be on probably in August. I'll get to record her because she's got her wedding coming up and all the things. And she's, and she's like a rock star. She's like, what was she, like number 1 or number 2, like on the sleep podcast, I think. What did we celebrate the other day? I mean, she just
something like that. Highly ranked. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think everybody that's gone through Nina's, and it's Nina Fareep, and it's Clockwise Productions, everybody who's gone through that has really come out the other end like a rock star. I mean, if you would have told me, and Kofi's probably going to, laugh because he's been telling me to do video. He was telling me to do video 2 years before the freaking pandemic hit. And I was like, no. And then when he finally got me to do it, the pandemic hit. And then I met Nina by commenting on a marketing thread. And then I showed her my video, and she, in very, she was like, it's not terrible, but you could do this. So I was like, well, it doesn't suck, but so, and then we joined the challenge, and we all put our videos out. And we all got really comfortable. You are so freaking good in front of the camera. Like you're like a natural, your food. For those of you who like haven't seen Steph's stuff yet, you need to go on Instagram, because talk about aesthetically pleasing. And you do all this yourself, which
Thank you
just
so
blows
much.
my mind. But you make every dish look like I just want to like stick my face on my screen and, bite it, which of course would not be healthy. But, and just all the pictures on your website, all of just everything. But, when you're on screen, when you're, talking, you're just very natural. And I really credit, Nina, for all of us that were in that, to make Diane as well. Right. I mean, all of us alumni, like if you would have told me that I would have been actually, this is your fault. So, you put the seed in my head for this, but, so Steph and I were talking, I guess it was about a year and a half ago. And, you were like, you need to be doing, a podcast. And I was like, no, I don't know what I would talk about. I don't know. And then all the events, in 2021, it was literally like 2021 set to 2020, hold my beer for me anyway. It was just a shit show of a year. And then the beginning of this year, it was just like, and I think I said to Kofi, hey, you and I need to do this together. And he was like, no, you need to do it and I'll produce it. And I was like, I don't want to do it alone. I want you to do it with me, because I didn't want to do it alone. And he was like, no, you need to do this and then, I'll produce it. And here we are. But if you would have told me 3 years ago that I would be here, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. There's no way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so proud of you. You're amazing. I've told you that from the beginning. Like, you just exude this cool, and your persona, and you're like super fun to talk to. Like, it's just a natural fit for you. So I'm really excited for you and for this. I think you're going places, Iris.
Well, I don't know about that, but you and I know I always call you the vegan Joanna Gaines, and I'm going to put this out there. Joanna Gaines, if you're listening to this, you need her on your network because she is phenomenal. Food Network. Because, when you see you on film, you're so relatable on film. Oh my God, on video. I just like dated myself. But when you see you, on screen, you're so relatable. Your kindness exudes, your lack of judgment exudes, and your recipes like speak for themselves. I mean, it was funny because Steph really didn't eat her food. And then I started watching Joanna Gaines and I was like, you need to be eating your food. So last week?
On camera. Yeah,
Yes, on camera to show people. And so last week I'm looking at her Instagram and she ate her food and I sent her this message like, woohoo, So
yeah, that was good advice.
So effective and so powerful. So
thank you for the compliments. I really appreciate that. I really love people. And I love what I do, and I love helping people learn what I'm passionate about. So the fact that comes through in your view really means a lot to me. Thank you.
Oh, it does. And I was just going to ask you, why are you, and we know the answer because we've been talking about this the whole time, but why are you an expert in your field? And, why would somebody choose you as opposed to, Vivian Vegan instead of, I'm just making a name up, but, as opposed to you?
Oh gosh. All right. Well,
and this is where brag on yourself because, really, like, why, like, if somebody's listening to this and they may have a coach in mind, why should they not use that coach and use you?
Okay. Let me think about this because let me tell you first that I am self-taught in the kitchen. So for 2 decades, I have gone through I've made all the mistakes. Like I learned by trial and error. And I just happen to be a really detail-oriented person. So what's great about that is in combination is that I can help you skip those mistakes, and I remember them, and I can remember to tell you about them. So you kind of get to skip over the learning curve that I went through for 20 years. Sometimes people look at my, my group course or my one-to-one mentoring coaching, and they think like, well, I mean, there's a lot of free content on the internet. I can go on Pinterest and find recipes myself. And yes, you can, because that's the way that I learned. However, it took me a couple decades to do that. So one of the things I really love to do is to really expedite that process. If you don't have time for that, then let's work together, because I would love to help you skip over that part. And I'm driven by this joy and this passion for it, but also that desire to help people. So I feel like maybe one of my superpowers is that I really love people, and it's really easy for me to see people's strengths and people's good side. And so I just love people, and I would love to love on you, help you get healthier, work this into your lifestyle, live disease-free for longer. So I really come at it from a place of service and helpfulness. And I while I'm self-taught in the kitchen, I have actively pursued knowledge on the nutritional end of things. So like, a lot of people love to bring a novel to the beach. I literally show up at the beach with a nutrition book. Like, I'm the biggest nerd. Like, podcasts, websites, whatever it is. I've been devouring it again for decades. And then I got a certificate in plant-based nutrition from the Center for Nutrition Studies at Cornell. So I'm able to bring this like nerdy scientific aspect into it as well. So I can, you read like a Reader's Digest article and you're like, who wrote this? I don't know if this is for real. Like, they're like, butter's back or whatever, is it? So I'm able to present the real peer-reviewed scientific evidence that supports why this kind of a lifestyle is good for you, whether it's fully plant-based or more plant-centered, more plant-forward. And so, I'm just always, it's my passion, not just to continually learn, but also to share these things to help people. And I don't really view this is going to sound really, for the people who are more concrete, this is going to sound a little out there, but I don't view myself as having competitors. Like, I'm just showing up with an offering. And if what I offer, if what I say resonates with you, then fantastic, let's work together. But if you resonate with another coach, fantastic, work with them. Like, my goal is not to get all the clients. My goal is to help the people who want to learn. So if that resonates with you, then I would love to meet you. I'm not going to be judgmental. You show up how you are, where you are with your goals, and I will help you eat more plants from whatever your starting point might be.
I love that so much. I love you so much, but I love that, the whole, there's no competition out there. That's just such a healthy way to look at things. That goes back to the, collaborative piece and me speaking with the other marketers. So you just blow my mind.
Thank you. I love you too.
But you're just, I really mean it. You're so kind. And it's like, it's like the two kindest people that I know in my life are you and my wife.
Oh, thank you.
And I mean that. You two are just, you have such a good, giving, selfless heart that, it's everything that you're saying is like, for you people listening and you're going, oh yeah, whatever. If you're saying that, it's true. She, Steph wants to help. She wants to help you be healthier because you do love people. And that's just, that just hits my heart. And that's another reason that I really wanted you on here, was because I wanted people, I don't know if 10 people are going to hear this, if hundreds of people, I have no idea, but the people that are listening to this, I wanted them to get a chance to really hear you and know you and learn about what you do and who you are. Because one of the things we've been talking about is, being our authentic selves and putting our authentic selves into what we do. and it makes it that much better because, God, you're attracting the right people, right? Because they see who you are and they want to work with you.
100%.
So I think that's amazing. And you and I could talk like for hours. I mean, we do talk for hours, so we do. Is there anything else that you want, to people to know, like a sign update or anything else before we?
Yeah, I just, if you feel like you'd like to learn more plant-based meals on a regular basis, get some more ongoing support, then I think the Deeper Roots membership-based program is a great option. If you are just kind of new to this and you want to like learn some new recipes here and there, see what I'm about a little more, I would say go to my website, greensagelife.com, and join my email community, because every once in a while, not too often, honestly, twice a month max, I'm sending an email out with a new recipe on my blog or a special group class offering. So I think maybe those are the two best places to start. But if you already feel like I'm ready to make some serious changes, I really want to jump in, then there's a mentoring tab on my website, and we can have a quick free Zoom call and talk about what we could do together on a more customized basis. But even if we just connect on Instagram, like send me a DM on Instagram and tell me you listened to this podcast. I would love to hear what you thought. If you have any responses to any of anything that either of us said. Yeah, I'd love to connect. So let's please do that.
That is awesome. And I know that this is a vodcast. So, Scott was on the last episode and he said, before we got on, he's like, it's a podcast. And it is, but it's also, video. So I know that people aren't probably going to sit down and, for the whole hour and watch this. And if you are, I love you. Thank you so much. But if you're just, listening to this, excuse me, I just hope that you're getting the value out of this and out of, Steph that this was meant for, because it is so valuable. And yeah, I mean, I love it. I just get so excited for you. So,
Thank you.
But so I ask all of our guests this, like the last question, is what truly lights your fire? Like what lights you up and, excites you? And
maybe I already said this, but continually learning new things and sharing those things with others, and helping people to improve their life in a way that resonates with them. I think those are the things that really light me up. Maybe also a little bit like just being creative in the kitchen. When I'm doing my work, I find that I'm just smiling to myself while I'm cooking. Like, so this like maybe a little piece of parting advice, but if you find that there's an activity in your life where you don't have resting bitch face, you smiling to yourself naturally, like pursue that, because maybe that's where your truest passion lies. That's definitely been the case for me. And it's just been so fulfilling on so many levels. Not always comfortable, but always worth it to pursue this.
That is awesome. I just keep saying that's awesome because I just think you're so awesome, and everything that you're saying is wow. Well, thank you for taking the hour out of because I know you're busy. I've seen your list. I remember when we were talking about getting a VA for you, and you wrote that list out with your impeccable handwriting. That's like another story. Your handwriting is like so ridiculously good, but you had that list, and I was looking at it going, holy shit, like I am not a list maker. I need to be more of a list maker, but you just had everything planned out. So I know you're busy. So it means so much, to me that, you took the time out of your insane schedule to talk to me and to the folks out in the ether, about what you do. And
thank you for having me, Iris. It was truly an honor. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. So no thanks are needed, but yeah, this has been super fun, and hopefully, hopefully whoever's listening will have some little nuggets they get to take away and think about later.
Absolutely. And we're going to have you on again.
Okay, that would be great.
So yes, and maybe next time we'll have you on and you could maybe be cooking a little.
Yeah, I'd love to do a demonstration for you guys.
Something like that. We'll do something like that. Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for once again hanging in there for an hour, maybe an hour plus sometimes. It really means a lot to me. And, again, feedback in the comments. I'd love to hear, your thoughts. And, as far as Steph go, you can find her on Instagram, Green Sage Life. You can find her on Facebook, Green Sage Life. You can find her on LinkedIn. Go to her website. There's just a plethora of really good information, great recipes, and if you do connect with her, probably one of the best things you ever did. So again, thank you so much for hanging in there, and I'm going to sign off. Iris Goldfeder, thanks for listening, and go out and find what lights your fire. Bye, everyone.